Most sales managers think their job is to push reps harder. That's why their teams cap out. The elite ones, they don't just push harder, they measure differently. And these aren't just numbers on the dashboard. These are early warning signals that tell you who's going to hit target and who's about to cost you money. Today, I'm going to break down the velocity metrics that I use to manage sales teams. The same metrics that let you predict sales before they happen and spot the weak links before it becomes lost revenue. And just for context, my name is Usman Kiani. I'm the founder of Guided Growth, and we manage $4 million worth of monthly revenue for sales teams. So if anyone knows about sales team management, it's going to be me, and I'm going to tell you exactly what to measure with your sales team if you're a CEO, sales manager, and how to go from a couple of $100,000 a month to millions every single month. The first thing that you're going to measure is total ad spend. Just for context, we're going to be going from top of funnel all the way to bottom of funnel. So how much are you spending on ads? Of course, you need to know how much you're spending to know if your sales are effective. If you're spending $1,000 or $100,000 every month, it's a different story, because all of these metrics will go from top funnel to bottom of funnel, and our goal is to affect the top ones first. So can we simply spend more money? Yes, so do that one first. Your plan of action is to work from top to the bottom. Close rate is down near the bottom, and most people think the best way to affect their sales team is to work on close rate. I can tell you this because it's not, because all the metrics above close rate will have way more leverage to be able to get you more money. Now let's move towards the sales side, because how many leads do you generate? So you got your two marketing metrics right at the top. You've got total ad spend, then you've got how many leads came in. This tells you what marketing bought in, but then we can delve deeper into the quality of that data, because metric number 3 is percentage of bad data. Now, percentage of bad data is wrong numbers, people who didn't fill out the form properly, dud leads, people you called and you could just not get through because the number, every time you dial it, it just has a dead tone. If you call them and they don't answer, that's not bad data, that's just a no answer. But the percentage of bad data, this could be measured by, if you've got 100 leads, 10 of them had wrong numbers, you've got percentage of bad data is 10%. Really simple. And at times you might be running a campaign which brings you a lot of junk leads. Let's say you've done a Facebook lead form and your Facebook lead form doesn't ask people to verify their phone number. Now a lot of people can put in a junk number. But if you put authentication where they're going to text the number and verify it when they're going to opt into that lead on the lead form, instantly your junk percentage of bad data gets improved. So your goal is to be able to come up with methods to be able to improve bad data. And if it turns out that you're getting a lot of bad numbers on a VSL funnel, then it's going to be a different method. You might put more clearer instructions. You might make sure it's required to put 11 digits in a certain format in that field so you can improve the percentage of bad data that you get. The fourth metric is the connected to set average, which is how many calls got connected to how many calls got set. So think about this. You dialed 100 people and you connected with 20 of them. That's a 20% dial to connected rate. We're not measuring that one, but the 20 leads that did get connected, how many of them got set into a call? Let's say 2 of them got set into a call. So you got spoken to 20 leads. And when I say connected, as soon as someone answers and says the word hello, that's now a connected lead. To set, how many of them got set onto a call? So then we can measure connected to set. This is the fourth metric, because at times we can improve this by looking at speed to lead, looking at different metrics within the CRM, and we can improve this with great CRM behavior, ensuring there's great lists in the CRM, ensuring that you can call the lead as quickly as possible. We try to call the lead within 5 minutes of it coming in. If you call the lead quicker, you will have more leads connected and set. And the goal is to call them as quickly as possible. The next thing to do is to be able to call them as many times as possible. Day 1, call them 4 times. Day 2, call them 3 times. Day 3, call them 3 times. And that is a total of 10 attempts in the first 3 days. If you can get at least 10 attempts in the first 3 days, it moves me on to my next metric, which is average outbound touch density. It's a big mouthful, I know, but what that means is how many times does each lead get dialed, get touched? Most businesses, when we look at this metric, they're calling a lead twice, sometimes once, and they complain that the leads are bad. Back in the day, you can book a VSL funnel and so many of them leads were just booking to calls. Skepticism wasn't so high, and also leads didn't cost so much. So the leads that didn't book a call, some people didn't even call them and set them and book them in. But these days, leads are so much more expensive. You have to have some setters who are going to call all the leads that didn't book in a call, so you can liquidate that spend and get more money from it, more revenue from the same ad spend. So you should be dialing those leads and having at least 10 attempts with every single lead, which is your average outbound touch density. You want to measure all of these metrics every single week. The next thing to measure is your connect rate percentage. So the total amount of dials that you had, how many of them got someone to say hello, If someone says hello and someone answers, that's your connect rate percentage. You want to get as many people to answer the phone as possible. Again, this is down to setter behavior. The better your setters behave, the better your CRM is organized, the better the engine behind the CRM is organized in terms of lists, in terms of instructions to your setters, how organized your team is, the quicker you're going to be able to call leads and the higher that you're going to have a connected rate. If you connect with more people, you're going to book more people. If your connected rate is really low, you're going to really struggle to have those conversations to even make use of your setters. Some guys are paying SDRs a $2,000 base and commission. SDRs aren't making any money. They're just paying a base and they're thinking, why are my ads not working? It's because they've not given their team the instruction that how to call. They've not built the system, what we call a growth system, on how they can call those leads as quickly as possible. Moving on to the next metric, lead to booking percentage outbound. For the total amount of leads that you've got, how many of them were booked in an outbound call? 100 leads came in, 10 leads got booked via an outbound setter. You got your average lead to booking percentage is 10%. Your goal is to chase the highest percentage of total leads to booking. Again, all of these metrics we mentioned earlier on are from top of funnel to bottom of funnel. So think about this is all down to setter activity. This is down to your sequences, emails that you are going to have as marketers are going to be automated, but you really want these salespeople dialed in and really efficient when people call. Most marketers that we speak to, they're great at data. They're great at automations. They're great at knowing creative side of ads. But when it comes to actually managing people, they hate it. They're not good at it. But when they learn these metrics, it becomes easy for them because then they can get a number to manage those people to. Rather than trying to manage personalities, if you just manage these numbers and lead people the right way, you're going to be able to scale your sales team so much quicker. The next metric to measure is the lead to booking from inbound calls. Your business might not have an inbound setting call. Let me give you an example where there's an inbound setting call. If you have a group funnel and the group funnel has an onboarding call, which is a sales call in disguise like a setter call, that is an inbound setting call. So you're also measuring your lead to booking on an inbound call. So how many leads are coming in compared to how many leads are being booked inbound. The next metric to measure is lead to booking for all. So you want to combine inbound and outbound. If you're only doing outbound setting, it's going to be really easy because in outbound setting, by the way, that's with a human dialing, just to clarify, because you can have outbound call setting and inbound call setting. Inbound is where they book themselves via an automation. Outbound is where a human calls them. You measure both of them, inbound and outbound, and that is your total lead to booking on both inbound and outbound. Some businesses just only do one of them, so it's going to be the same metric if you do one of them for all of them because one's not being done. The next thing to measure is your discovery show percentage. So if you have inbound calls being booked, so if your setters are booking triage calls on the calendar, you want to be able to measure how many discovery calls show up. Just to clarify the language here, a discovery call is more for setters, closing call is more for sales reps, aka closers. So you want to know what we're trying to measure here. So this is the discovery show percentage. How many discovery calls showed up if there was an inbound discovery call booked? So if people were booking in to the setter's calendar to be triaged or an onboarding group call. Next metric, the discovery to closing call percentage. So for the discovery calls that showed up from either inbound or outbound or both, how many of them ended up going to a closing call? This looks at lead quality, setter capabilities, how efficient your setters are working. So total amount of discovery calls, aka SDR activity, how many calls they took on both inbound and outbound, to how many closing calls were booked. So what percentage of calls are being booked into a closing call. We have 4 more metrics to measure. The next metric is offer percentage. How many people got an offer off the back of calls they came to? We look at this metric because sometimes if all we do is tell the sales team, just throw out more offers, they will start closing more. And sometimes they're throwing offers without doing a proper discovery. So we also have to look at offer percentage very clearly and understand where is this at the right percentage. But we tend to want to lean on this being the highest percentage. Closing percentage, course, a key metric. Everyone loves measuring this and thinks this is the most important, but it's not one of the most important. But closing percentage, usually from different sources, are going to be different percentages. Let's say you have a big brand, organic, and let's say you're Iman or Hormozi, someone really big, you're looking at closing 45-50%. Let's say you have a smaller brand and you have just cold ads running, maybe it's going to be 25-30%. A lot of the time sales teams aren't even closing at 30% anymore. It's like 25 and 20. So depending on how good your brand is going to affect your closing. if you are getting leads from outbound DMs and they don't know you and they're showing up to a closing call, it's going to be a lot lower the percentage. But you want to be able to measure it because you could affect this in many different ways. Probably one of the biggest ways everyone knows to affect this is more from sales training and systems and providing reps with great accountability and support. The last two metrics are average sale price. So what is the average sale price that your team sells for? Some businesses will measure dollar per call, which is if you have 10 calls and we sell 10 grand worth of stuff on those calls, dollar per call is $1,000. So you want to measure total amount of money taken divided by the total amount of calls taken. That makes up your average sale price or dollar per call. The final metric that we love to measure is cash to revenue percentage, because for scaling businesses, if you have a low cash to revenue percentage, you can't put money back into ads. So if you are spending 30 grand a month into ads and then those ads bring you 100 grand worth of sales, but you only collect 30 grand, so your cash to revenue percentage is 30%, you can't really scale because it's hard. Where you can get that money from, yeah, you can use a credit card and kind of save up some money, but it's very hard to scale when your cash to revenue percentage is really low. When you get that cash to revenue percentage to 60, 70%, and if you're getting a lot more paid in fulls, it's so much easier to scale because there's more cash in the bank to push into marketing. These are all the metrics that you need to measure as a business owner when you oversee your sales team. If you measure these and you tweak these, I would set quarterly projects where I look at one, maybe two of these metrics if you're skilled, but most of the time it's one, and how do I tweak it over those 3 months to really improve it. So pick one of these that you need to affect. If you've got any questions on any of these metrics, comment below and I can answer any questions. So if you want all of these metrics and a full playbook on how to use them, click the link in the video below, go to the Guided Growth Free community, and you can watch a free training on how to use all of these metrics and individual components on how these will affect your sales team. I'll catch you on the next video.